Audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Toastmaster Mo, for that lovely introduction. Have you ever asked yourself who exactly you are? And I don't mean by things like your name or your date of birth. I'm not even talking about the physical aspects that you see in the mirror. I'm talking about the unique, undefinable, undefinable consciousness that you call you. This person that supposedly lives in your brain but can never be recorded and never be measured by any means known to science. Doesn't it sound like a question that is asked to philosophers? In the year 1950, an American neurobiologist named Roger Sperry was looking for an answer to this very question in science. A very good evening to my fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. As we all know, the brain has two sides or two hemispheres, the left side or the left hemisphere, the right side or the right hemisphere. These two hemispheres are connected by a band of nerves called the corpus callosum that acts like a bridge to share information between both hemispheres. Each side has its unique set of functions, and the two hemispheres of the brain function interdependently. This interdependence intrigued Roger Sperry to know what specific functions each hemisphere performed and what would happen to the human brain if the corpus callosum was removed. Let us understand this by using Robert Sperry's Nobel Prize winning split brain experiments. As most of us know, the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body and the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. Sperry called the left hemisphere the logical one and the right side the artistic one. He wondered how is it possible to test only one side of the brain? One way was to work with people who have had a split brain operation. In this rare type of surgery, the corpus callosum is removed to control the spread of severe epilepsy. This resulted in separation of the two hemispheres. After the hemispheres are separated, each hemisphere will become independent of its functions. Sperry performed these set of experiments in human volunteers who had their corpus callosum removed due to external factors. So what Sperry did was, he asked his participants to focus on a certain point on a plain white screen. Next, he patched their left eye and showed a word only to their right eye and asked the participants to tell him what they saw. When the participants saw the word only with their right eye, the left hemisphere, which is the logical side of the brain, could analyze and recognize the word so they could pronounce what the word was. He concluded that the left hemisphere could recognize and articulate language. He performed the same experiment by patching the right eye now and showed the word to the left eye only. The participants could read the word, but they couldn't pronounce it. That led him to conclude that the right hemisphere, which is the artistic side, had some language recognition ability, but no speech articulation, and hence they couldn't pronounce the word. Even without conducting experiments, Sperry noticed changes in complete lifestyles of people who had a split brain. In fact, there was this one man who while dressing up, pulled his pants with his one hand and removed it from the other hand at the same time. After multiple experiments and research, Sperry concluded that despite the interdependence and the distinct nature of both the hemispheres, some people are left brain dominant and some people are right brain dominant. Left brain dominant people are logically and more academically inclined. You most likely excel in academics, especially when it comes to subjects like math and science. The left hemisphere is also called the digital brain. It is the one responsible for the following characteristics: analytical thinking, your speech skills, getting positive thoughts, that is positivity, being disciplined, short-term memory, language, linear thinking, happiness, temporal, which means to be punctual, sequential thinking, and ordering of complex movements. Now let's come to the functions of the right hemisphere. A right hemisphere dominant person excels in arts. It is visual and intuitive. It is also called the analog brain. It is responsible for the following functions: creativity, aesthetics, art, when it again comes to music, painting, or learning an instrument, sadness, anger, fear, long term memory, impulsiveness, simple language comprehension, recognition of expressions and emotions, visualizations, and perception, and finally, perceptual skills. So, from what we have just studied, could you all please unmute and tell me which brain dominant you all want to be?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Here are some simple exercises which you could choose from to enhance the hemisphere you want. Starting off with the left analytical hemisphere. As we all know, the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body. Whenever possible, and especially when under stress, breathe only through your right nostril by shutting off the left. In this way, oxygen is only gone to the left hemisphere and it is activated. Second, when using your mobile or your telephone, talk and listen only from the right ear. Do at least half an hour of math or accounts without using a calculator. Whenever you see a traffic jam, add up and make a sum of the registration numbers with the vehicles that are surrounded by you. Sleep on your left side. Gravity automatically stimulates your left brain. And finally, play aiming games like darts and solve a lot of puzzles. We are now done with the left brain exercises. Coming to the right brain, there are three main exercises that you could follow to enhance your right. Play, play games that require to connect dots from one side to another, tickle your funny bone, learning how to draw or paint, and finally, breathe through your left nostril by shutting off your right, while it gives you oxygen to the right brain. So, fellow Toastmasters, we could conclude by saying that both hemispheres are equally important. I would urge each and every listener to take a moment and introspect their personalities. Repeat those behaviors that are healthy for your brain and break those behaviors and habits that are not. Practice. Learning is about doing about work. Learning is about doing the work your brain requires. I hope you end your day with the appreciation of how magnificent your brain is. So when you leave today, go out and build the brain you want. Thank you.